श्री भगवान उवाच इमं विवस्वते योगम प्रोक्तवान हम व्ययम विवस्वान मनवे प्राह मनुरिक्ष्वाकवे अब्रवीत. Hello friends, this is the first shlok of the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and today we will understand this shlok in detail. So let's first go over its meaning. So the shlok says Shri Bhagwan Uvach, which means Shri Krishna said, Imam Vivasvate Yogam, which means this yoga in the sun god Proktavanaham Vyayam, which means I am speaking eternally. Vivasvan Manve Praha, which means Sun told this to Manu. Manu Ikshvakve Abravit, which means Manu spoke about this with Ikshvaku. So, from this shlok to the next few shloks, Sri Krishna is going to be describing the origins of the knowledge of yoga, and I request you to pay special attention to all these shloks as they will be providing you very deep understanding of the outlook of dharmic way of thinking. And it's very unfortunate that people have forgotten this knowledge, and even now a lot of people are not able to understand this whole portion of Bhagavad Gita, and they provide a very wrong interpretation, because of which a lot of confusion has been created. So it is my request that you pay special attention to this part of Bhagavad Gita, as it will help you to really understand the deep insights that our ancestors have really thought about. So in this shlok, Shri Krishna is telling Arjun that in the sun god, the name that has been used is Vivasvat. So in Vivasvat, which means in the sun god, I am speaking about this yoga eternally. And this knowledge was then provided by the sun god to Manu, and Manu then provided this knowledge to Ikshvaku. So, when you look at this whole shlok superficially, the default way to look at it is basically that the sun god is some god which is situated in heaven, and he is sitting over there with other natural gods such as the Varun Dev and the Indra and things like that. So, sun god in that sense, we say, okay, maybe in the ancient times people used to think that sun is a god, the sun that we see in the sky, and so that is what has been represented over here. And similarly, what we think of is that, okay, this Manu must be a person and Ikshvaku also must be a person, and so the whole message get lost because of this misunderstanding of thinking sun god to be some dev sitting in the heaven, and Manu and Ikshvaku to be human beings which are present on this earth. That is not what is the true meaning of this shlok. So you have to first understand what this Vivaswan, the Manu and the Ikshvaku actually represent. So in the Indian tradition, and if you look at the Vedas, you will see that sun is a representation of the splendor that is present in an enlightened person. When a person attains enlightenment, he becomes full of splendor, he becomes bright, and you will see in pictures also that there is something bright that is following them, the aura around their head. So that is what is the sun representation, the sun god in itself. The splendor of an enlightened person is sun god. Manu is the aspect of this creation which is associated with the uh, with the civilization. So we know that Manu is the son of Brahma, and Brahma is the creator god. He has created this world of Maya, and in this world there is one aspect which is the aspect of civilization, which is represented by Manu, and that's why Manu is the son of Brahma. Now, the son of Manu is Ikshvaku, and Ikshvaku is said to be the first king of the Surya Vansh, which is the Sun dynasty. Now, Ikshvaku is not a person over here. Ikshvaku represents an enlightened king who rules his world in a manner which is in conjunction with the laws of Manu. So that's why he is the son of Manu, and that's why there is Manu Smriti, which is the law book on how a society should be built. So Basically, sun god is the enlightened person's splendor, Manu is the civilization, and Ikshvaku is the wise king who is sustaining the civilization through the knowledge of the enlightened person. That's why that's why Ikshvaku is the first king of the Sun dynasty, and then all the enlightened kings who are performing their actions in that manner will be Ikshvaku's descendant. That's why Ram is also said to be the descendant of Ikshvaku. So now when you understand all of this, then you can see what Sri Krishna is trying to tell us over here. Sri Krishna is saying that I, which is basically the avatar of Vishnu. So Vishnu, we know, is that aspect of Brahman which is sustaining this universe. So the aspect of Brahman which is sustaining this universe is always speaking in an enlightened being. That enlightened being then gives the direction to a society to follow certain rules. That is what is the transfer of knowledge from the sun god to the Manu, and then with those directions which the enlightened persons are telling the society to follow, and when the society follows that, then the society moves in the direction of righteousness. So this is what is the transfer of knowledge from Manu to Ikshvaku. So that is what is the whole message that has been presented over here by Sri Krishna, that through him enlightened beings understand this knowledge of yoga, and then they transmit it down into the society, through which the society then moves in the direction of righteousness. Now, some of you might be thinking that this kind of a knowledge, why did Sri Krishna not mention it in a straight manner and instead gave this in symbols? So, for that, you have to understand that in the ancient times, the knowledge was transmitted down through vocal tradition, and because it was transmitted in a vocal tradition, all these complex ideas had to be concentrated very briefly, and therefore these symbols were used to convey these complex messages. So that's why this coding was done. So I hope that I have explained this shlok well to you. With that, I will close this video. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.